hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're firing me, firing me. Yeah, you're firing me, firing me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the luck. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Can get you out of my hand again.
And boom, just like that, it's Thursday night. And you know what that means? It's party time with the Video Bros. I'm Bobby Munson, and the man beside me, the man with the angelic voice, Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, brother, how the hell are you doing?
Whoa, that was one hell of an intro, Munson. I'm doing great. How are you doing tonight? It's Thursday night. I'm ready to go for Ring Respect Radio. Hey, what should we all talk about?
That's right. What should we all talk about? We could talk about just about anything. It's kind of a free-for-all here tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about video production. We're going to talk a little bit about the wrestling we watch. Hey, baby, we'll just talk about the elephant in the room, Pop Smokes. It's kind of the kickoff to WrestleMania weekend. Wrestling fans across the globe are nothing but excited for this weekend coming up and all the different things that come along with it. It's quite the interesting day. We say hello to our good friend right there. It's Mr. Basser. Good evening, Basser. How you doing, brother?
Yeah.
Woo! Let's talk. You know what? Before we even talk WrestleMania, I want to talk a little story about Prairie Pro Wrestling because Pop Smokes, we got that coming up. Just a few weeks here kind of thing. Something along the lines of 420 at PPW coming up. It's officially not even technically been announced, but we do have a couple of people that have been dying for an opportunity to get into the show. They know how quick these sell out. We know that it's the hottest ticket in town. We got people saying that they'll pay over face value. They'll pay more than what the tickets are worth, Papa Spokes. But, in good old PPW fashion, we're not going to do that to the people. We're going to let the people still enjoy their PPW best we can to a limit, of course. As we have found out, there is a limitation to how many people we can allow in one room at one given time. But damn, is it going to be an exciting time?
Well, it's a completely wild time. And when we launched PPW, we were just thinking it'd be great if we could consistently pretty much fill this place, that wonderful venue we have. We have such a great relationship with the venue. They like us. They put up with all of our shenanigans. It's an excellent relationship. But yeah, now we're coming to the point where space is limited. Real estate is getting more costly in the PPW audience. But thankfully, the fans have taken to this so far. There have been a couple of grumpy people, but I mean, it's become a big show and it's become a phenomenon. And I mean, every 1 month or every 2 months kind of thing, people need their fill and they need their PPW.
They do, and they're going to get it in full stride here on April the 20th. As we say hello to Barry Monkey. Barry, how you doing? He's saying hello, everyone. Can you
Hey, Barry.
Quietly while he's watching Impact at the same time, or I guess he could turn down the volume slightly as he's saying. So carry on. Barry, how you doing? Hope you're enjoying Impact Wrestling to kick off WrestleMania weekend. And again, well, let's go back to that for a moment here. WrestleMania weekend's kicking off. There's all sorts of shows, Pop Smokes, whether you're a WWE fan or whether you're just a wrestling fan in general. And it's been said many times to just go out and enjoy some wrestling this weekend. You know, you and I, you know, we like our independence. We like stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff out there. I know that Josh Barnett's Bloodsport happened this afternoon. Not sure what went out there. We know that we've got things like TJPW on this weekend. We've got ROH's Supercard of Honor that's on tomorrow as well. 2 nights of WrestleMania plus NXT's got Stand and Deliver this Saturday. So really a lot that anybody can enjoy no matter where they're from.
Well, imagine what Philadelphia is going to be like this weekend. It's already a pretty strong wrestling city. Imagine all their local companies, the kind of stuff they're going to be putting on to attract those fans that come from far and wide to see WrestleMania. Yeah, there's a lot of wrestling to watch if you're going to go to WrestleMania, 2 full nights of matches, but they got more time in the day too, and people will check out independent stuff, will go to all kinds of other shows, buy merch, support wrestlers. It's a great weekend for the business all around. Even if WWE has a stranglehold on the whole thing, there can be collateral business done as well, as is going to be in full evidence in Philly this weekend.
You bet. And I did see something interesting out of Bloodsport that I'll talk about in a minute here, but Brian Carter coming in. Brian, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Bring PPW to Chicago. We're ready. Show us the money, Brian, and we'll get the boys across the border for you. That's really all it comes down to. We would love to take PPW on the road, guaranteed. I'd love to be able to bring all the talent, especially to Chicago. Man, would that be fun? Can you imagine us going down to Chicago? We could go and show Brian Carter how we party up here in the north here in Canada. We'll take the party down to Chicago and show them a good old PPW time.
I thought Brian was from Michigan. He's from Chicago. Is this correct?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm seeing here too.
Okay, yeah.
Explain. We may be a little confused here. Barry saying, I saw a bit of the Bloodsport thing, not really my cup of tea, but seemed fun, fast-paced type of show. I saw that apparently WWE CEO Nick Khan was backstage taking photo opportunities with the owner of GCW. So take that for what it's worth.
Weird.
Yeah. Brian saying, screw WrestleMania. We want PPW live streams. More El Asesino. I'll pass on to the Mexican Devil for you there, my friend. And just to clarify, he's from Michigan, but live outside of Chicago now. So
okay.
There we go. And Master, I would follow PPW tour like the Grateful Dead. Master. Sure. Yeah, so would Papa Smokes and I too, but probably because they might need some video guys if we were to ever take this stuff on tour. But yeah, like we say, they called the episode Lights, Camera, Action. We don't have a particular thing that we're going to talk about tonight. We've had a lot on our plate as of late. I thought we'd have a little bit of a chill free-for-all here with you, the viewers, talk a little bit about our, what we do in professional wrestling, a little bit about video production. Oh, hold on here.
Oh, let's talk.
Oh, okay. I got you. But yeah, we thought we'd make it a free for all. We've been busy. We've had, the success of a trip through the territories here on the show lately, Papa Smokes. Again, we had that great kickoff to it back in January where we did WCCW and had a lot of great reviews on that particular episode. Followed up by the recent one where we went to Stampede Wrestling out of Calgary. And man, did we hit the nail on the head with this 2-part episode, 2 parts already, because that's how much there was to talk about. Again, with 2 amazing guests, Rachel Ling joining us the very first time around, and what a guest she was. Then hooking us up last week with the legend himself, Ross Hart, who joined us on the show. Man, Papa Smokes, I am ecstatic about the level of guests we have had here on the program.
Oh, same, and I was going to bring it up anyway, that I'm still on a high from talking to Ross Hart, not to mention Rachel from 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. What a great interview that was. And I've wanted to know her story as a wrestling photographer for a long time because I've seen a sample of her work over the years through the 80s when she was young in Stampede and in Calgary. And it was just great. I still feel like we only cracked the surface of all the stuff she could have told us about being a photographer in such a vibrant promotion at that time. But her getting us Ross Hart to talk to for an hour, chef's kiss. Just love that. That's got to be one of our flagship interviews now. Out of all the awesome ones we've had and all the great ones, this one seems special, right? Because we're Western Canadians. We're from Saskatchewan. We're neighbors to Ross Hart and Stampede, but not really knowing anyone that had been involved in that promotion. Well, now we do. And man, that was just a thrill. And Ross, a pure wrestling family guy, had no problem talking for that entire hour. Completely charismatic, interesting, historical for the entire time. What a pleasure, Munson. We hardly had to say anything. He was just off to the races and just great stuff.
And now saying that he's a fan of our show and that he's going to be tuning into more episodes
Yeah.
of Respect Radio. So Ross Hart, thank you. And we appreciate you, my friend. We also appreciate our good friend Astrid Pizarro, the natural, who's up in the house there. Hello, Astrid. How are you doing this evening? And saying so happy for you guys. And we're happy for you too, Astrid, with all the great things you got going on this weekend. Astrid is busy this weekend, Papa Spokes, with multiple shows across Friday, Saturday. She's going to take a little bit of a break on Sunday. She's going to be watching WrestleMania, but I think she's going to be extremely tired after not only the efforts put on screen, but behind scenes as well, too. And Astrid, who was instrumental in getting us many of the awesome guests that we have across the platform the next few days. And I'm telling you, it is going to change the game right here on OLE Podcast with the amount of guests we have, the amount of awesome fun that we've got lined up. But it was a labor of love and hard work from everybody behind the scenes, a great crew that we've got here that put together the work in order to make the advertising happen, the channels ready to go, the guests lined up, making sure that we have everything ready to go smoothly this weekend. And I'm very proud to say, not only has that happened, but you and I get to be a part of one of the most awesome growing teams in the world of professional wrestling broadcasting.
Well, and this is for us wrestling fans. This is our Super Bowl weekend, so to speak. Everything else is great, but everything comes down to this. And I mean, you guys all know in Ole that I'm not much of a consumer of WWE product. I watched in the 80s and such like that, but I've kind of had a falling out. You and I were talking just before we went on the air, and I have to admit, I have a little bit of interest. I've watched a bit of the big spots on Raw over the past while since The Rock has come back because I'm curious, because they're doing big time business in wrestling right now. I think it had been on a bit of a slide or a bit of a plateau for the past couple of years, including those pandemic years. Excuse me, but I feel like WWE's bringing it back in a big way. The sale of the company, all the shuffling, also some hard times and some other weird stuff that's going on in the company right now, but they're doing big business. Bringing The Rock back is absolutely massive because, as we know, they've had trouble creating new superstars to the level of their past superstars, the Hogans, The Rock, the Austin, the Cena type thing. They don't really have one going right now, except for maybe Cody, I guess. But this is interesting. And now with the whole finish the story thing and everything, and then the whole bloodline and the long-term storytelling. And I still laugh thinking about last year, how mad everybody was. Cody should have won the belt tonight. He just got back from a year-long injury, but we want him to win the belt tonight. And it's like, no, you guys don't always get what you want because they had a bigger plan in mind and a longer burn. And now everybody's really excited. And now this is looking like one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time. Excuse me, even not being a huge WWE fan, I can't help but feel the tingle. I can't help but feel a little bit of interest in this because they're doing big time money business this year.
They really are. Brian has got a really great question for us here, Papa Spokes, that I'm going to go to in a moment. But first, we're going to say hello to good old Ed Fries up in the house saying Papa Spokes is OLE's hashtag final boss. some good accolade there for you. As Roman Reigns, again, another
Yeah,
star that they've built, having that final boss attitude.
Yeah.
Again, it plays in beautifully. They did play the long game on this, and the frustration is great to see when you see it play out in a good way like this. They were able to carry it another year. Good on them. They milked that cow and it worked. Now, can they pull it off again? I don't know. I have a strong feeling that they've got to pull the trigger on Cody this time. But damn it, if they don't have everybody second guessing that theory as well too, saying maybe he doesn't finish the story. Maybe this is as far as the story goes for Cody Rhodes and the final boss will not get beat. But yeah, Brian even shocked Bob Spokes warming up to WWE right now.
Let's not go too far. Let's not go too far.
That's about as far as it goes. But we're going to go to Brian's question when it comes to regards to video production in professional wrestling, which is kind of the main topic here today. Brian says, I've wondered, do any of the wrestlers ever request that you shoot them a certain way or certain angles during tapings? And phenomenal question, Brian, because the quick answer to this is yes, depending on who, what the situation is, and what the request is. And sometimes it's the wrestlers, sometimes it's the bookers. It really, really depends on what it is. When we started PPW, prior to that, I was doing camera work with just the hard cam and myself at ringside. Pop Spokes came in at Prairie Pro Wrestling Times. We started doing the two-man camera crew. And I think after we reviewed that first show, Pop Spokes, one of the biggest notes that I think we got was technically about our height. The height of you and I was one of the biggest problems as camera operators, because Bob Spokes and I are 6'3", and we are just as tall as many of, if not taller than many of the wrestlers in the ring. So it's not uncommon for them to want us to kind of angle the camera a little bit back and angled to kind of give a bigger presence to the wrestlers that you're seeing because of us being so tall. Otherwise, Bob Spokes and I would probably be kind of crouching the entire time in order to try to get down low enough in order to make that same feeling happen because of our personal heights. Outside of that, there are particular matches like when El Assassino did the dive from the top ropes into the audience there during that tag match. That was one of the spots that was gone over with myself in the back prior to the night beginning, so that I could then relay on the message to the ringside crew as well as myself that was going to be one of the occurrences we needed to watch for. So as a camera operator, I know it's good that we have somebody kind of right there to get that overhead shot. We also need somebody positioned to get a side shot so that no matter what, we've got the angle, the setup, the go to the top, the jump off the top ropes into the audience, gives that really cool effect to it. There's also back to the HIW days, I believe, when that fans bring the weapons match, Pop Spokes, was another one where I was informed about the spot where Mike McSugar would be going through a table on the outside of the ring, and I was given an approximate time before Mike McSugar's involvement would come back into place in the ring. And I was told, okay, about this spot in the matchup, turn your camera directly behind you. Mike McSugar is then going to be finally shaking off the cobwebs. He's going to be getting back into it. And then I was told to say on commentary, oh, he's rising up like a phoenix from the ashes kind of thing. And this is all advice given to me by inside professionals, wrestlers, things like that, something I've taken on board. So that's the stories I could tell. Any particular ones that come to mind for you, Pop Spokes?
Yeah, no, every so often a wrestler will speak to one of us about a certain spot or about any other little minute details that might need to be known. Like you were just using El Assassino's dive to the outside as an example. That's your side of the ring. I'm on the other side. I'm on the ramp side. So I do the entrances and then any other action that spills to the outside on that side of the ring. Now, of course, you see it's crazy on your side because you have no room to get out of the way if they fight out there. I have a bit more room, but they fight often outside on my side. And really, when you get to that point, and especially if there are tables and chairs and four guys and a referee and a dude ringing the bell, sitting at the table, and all that kind of stuff. There isn't as much room as you think. And I have all kinds of flashbacks and mild forms of PTSD from recognizing a spot getting going, seeing a huge guy like Colton Kelly standing right in front of me, and watching the other wrestler. Oh my God, he's going to do the suicida plancha or whatever through the middle rope onto this guy. Like, I got to get out of the way, but there's no room and no time sometimes. It gets wild out there. It's like being one of those wartime photographers or journalists that you got the action and the bombs going around all around you. Other than that, every so often a wrestler will say, hey, catch me on the ramp at the end of the match when I'm leaving because I have something to say. So I will make sure to catch him as he's leaving, the heel that's just been beaten that wants to say, yeah, I'm coming back for you next time, or whatever it happens to be. That's one of the little cues you might get sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes you get no cues at all. I'm going to mention a story there in a moment. Bastard saying the Halloween show, people were rubbing his freshly shaven head because he was Stone Cold Steve Austin that night. You guys are right in the action. Yes, always right in the action. Bastard knows firsthand. He got that chair to the leg that night. Going back to the HIW days in particular, too, there was a match between Michael Richard Blaze and our good buddy Mo Jabari, who you're going to be able to see coming up on, I believe actually it was this week's NWA Power that he was back again working with the NWA. So go support our good friend Mo Jabari.
Oh, yeah.
It was those two in particular, and this was one of the times they didn't tell me about the planned spot. And so as a videographer, I kind of have to just chase the action every once in a while. And I remember this one spills out into the audience, and then they start fighting into that little room that was just off to the side there when we were in the Sutherland Hall at the time there, Papa Smokes.
Yeah,
and then those bastards decided to go outside into the actual outside with a referee following and just me with this shitty little camera that I had at the time, chasing them into the streets of Saskatoon. They're throwing each other into the building. They're body slamming each other on the sidewalk, slapping each other around, and they go all the way around to the front of the building and go back through the front doors, through the audience and back into the ring. A nutcase of a night that one was.
I remember it well. I was watching that night, and it's one of those things where Sutherland, where our old venue used to be for HIW, is not the gentlest part of town, if we can say it that way. There are a lot of bars and a lot of rough bars and a lot of dudes just walking around, drinking, smoking, groups of guys and stuff. So now these dudes in little wrestling trunks have come out in the middle of the winter and they're brawling all around. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I also followed with the small handful of fans that made it outside that night because I had to see this. It was too funny, but it's also a feeling of, my God, what's going to start here? If some of these rednecks from these bars in Sutherland catch a sight of this, they're going to want to join in for sure.
It was interesting times back in those days for sure, Papa Smokes. A little bit more reserved now, but we have had things spill into the audience many times in PPW. Again, you and Basser were right in the action there for that chairs match back in October. I had done through the audience as I was doing the hard cam action for us that night. It is absolutely wild. Let's see here. Brian's got another question for us. As commentators, how do you handle when a guy oversells an obvious miss or botched maneuver? Do you want to take this one first, Papa Smokes? I know I've got an answer to this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't pretend that it didn't exist, but I'm also not going to go right out and use insider terms and say, oh, a little bit of a botch there. I always try and play it in the real sports manner, that just whatever he was trying, he didn't get all of that one, or that one didn't connect, but they're still you just carry on from there. I won't ignore it usually, but I'm not gonna highlight it or spotlight it in any way. Mention it. It didn't happen. Move on. It's done.
Yeah, and I mean to piggyback off what you're saying too is where I would go is say that they don't quite connect on something like that, and shit happens. I mean, I almost hate the term botch because you know what, anything can happen in a pro wrestling ring. You're tired, things going on, your body just doesn't quite cooperate the way your brain is doing at that given time, and you slip up. It happens, right? So, like Pop Smoke says, they didn't quite get all. He got a little bit of it, but he didn't quite get all of it, or something like that. And you can be like, but you can still tell the wear and tear that it is done on these two here tonight. They have taken everything out of each other in this hard-hitting matchup, and despite the fact that he didn't get quite all of it, it looks like both men are now down and out and looking for a way back into the matchup. You can sell it as a commentator to still make the two individuals look really good, and I would not really say good, polite things about a commentator that would undersell the product that they're working for. You shouldn't be underselling the guys in the ring. All the time, Pop Smokes and I are always trying to do what we can to sell who is working in a PPW ring. Even though we see in the comments here on our personal show, we know that some of you aren't fans of particular people in PPW. That's fine. We have a different connection with them. We have a different understanding of their body of work. When it comes to commentating, our job is to put them over. It doesn't matter who it is our job to put over the talent that is in the ring. And that is what we're always going to do. Miss spot, botch spot, as they call them, whether it's someone who, just isn't somebody that particular people like. We're going to do everything in our power to try to make them and the company look better every single time.
Yeah, it's mistakes happen in real sports too. So to me, it's just like that. Yeah, swing and a miss. It didn't happen this time. It'll happen next time.
Yeah. And I know Brian's saying about like the obvious overselling. And I mean, there does happen to be that. I see it in professional wrestling all the time too. Somebody misses, but somebody still oversells like they did get that connection. It does make it a little bit more difficult. I'll give it that and everything. And I think that maybe they don't need to oversell it, but I think the best way out of it is just to talk about the fatigue and the general wear and tear that both competitors have had on their bodies to try to sell the idea of why the spot was missed and why the other competitor is selling, because they're selling because guess what? They still had wear and tear from the previous 150 bumps that they've taken in the match up to this time.
Yeah, and this conversation reminds me of our interview with Rich Bocchini too, a fine wrestling and hockey commentator. Excuse me, and this isn't exactly on topic, but we asked him because he works for lots of different indie companies, and we asked him, are there spots that you don't agree with as a wrestling purist, such as the Joey Ryan Dick spot? He said, yeah, I've had to work a match where Joey Ryan was in it and gonna do that dick flipping spot. He said, I'm not into it. Like, I don't like that at all. I did agree to do commentary for this company, though, and I will do my job. But he said he told the other guy, gave him a heads up before this, I don't like that spot, so I'm not going to call it. You got this one, bro. I'm just going to be quiet during this. The call's all yours, bro.
Yep.
And I mean, that's a good solution, too, right? Like, work it out as guys. You have a job to do, and you got to do it. But negotiations can be made at the same time.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're really 100% against the way that a company runs their spots or does that kind of thing, don't take that job. That's what it comes down to. If half their roster are people that you just don't enjoy the work of, don't put yourself in the situation to have to oversell something you don't agree with. I mean, I would love to take my commentary to another level, but I'll be straight up. I'm not necessarily interested in working for a GCW, as big a name as they are. A lot of the stuff that they do there is not my flavor. Therefore, I would have a much tougher time sitting there and properly selling it the way that it needs to be sold. There is a niche for it. There is an audience for it. And I think that there's a lot of commentators out there that like that style more, that are more suited to calling that type of commentary. On the other hand, I would love to do MLW or an NWA or something along those lines, or even another independent, again, like a Defy or somebody like that, all those types of companies that we have watched. I would love to do commentary for something like that because I can appreciate the level of wrestling there a little bit more, and I can be a little bit more forgiving of some of the indie darling stuff that happens on some of those shows.
For sure. And I was thinking of exactly this when Ed and I watched and talked about that chaotic show from Boston, recent high-level indie show. It was good, man. The wrestling was good. The booking was good. There was some flashy overbooking stuff in a couple of matches, but that's kind of the way the business is now. As far as the company goes, I was thinking the whole time they had quite good commentary on that, but I was just thinking, man, Munson and I could sink our teeth into these matches with a little bit of prep and a little bit of background. I was seeing some of these wrestlers for the first time, most of them, in fact, but well, you and I would very much enjoy that company chaotic as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I went and watched that show as well too. That you guys reviewed it. It's a great company. It's a great show. I really can appreciate independence. And again, there's stuff on the independence that I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I think I'm a little bit more forgiving of because, again, this is what the independents are for: is to get some of these things out of the way, to perfect your craft, to try out the things, to see what connects, what the audience likes before you start making those moves up. The independents have always been that opportunity for people to get that kind of stuff in, test things out, try this, see what works, see what doesn't work. And that's what it's all about. But again, I love the production that a lot of these indies are putting in. Like, these Chaotic Wrestling does a beautiful job for an independent promotion of putting that together. And I believe Ed mentioned their stuff is similar, like their size of audience is similar to what a PPW crowd is.
Yeah.
And I hear that and I'm like, damn, like, it's so electric. It sounds small, but it's a lot more electric than a big empty arena.
Oh, they got a good thing going on there. I have to think they could pack a bigger venue than that too, but maybe it's the same idea with PPW, that they love the venue they have a good relationship with the GM that runs the whole thing. It's important. I know that wrestling fans tell me all the time, oh, PPW, get another venue, get a bigger venue. Who cares about this one? It's too small now. It's not as simple as that. Especially in a smaller city like we live in, there aren't so many choices just to move up one notch. Plus, the rents are different. It changes the whole dynamic of the business. We have a great relationship, which works out codependently just perfectly for the venue and for our wrestling company. And like you've said before, we don't want to make a bigger venue half full because now your show gets affected. We have great action, we have great booking, we have great talent and everything, but the crowd is extremely important in wrestling shows, particularly with PPW. We've talked about it a million times. The crowd's packed in there. They're all together. They can all hear each other and all see each other. So all the reactions are common to each other. And the crowd is a huge part of the wrestling show. They're one of the characters in it, one of the main characters, because their reactions affect the whole mood of the show, the whole mood of each match, and the mood of the entire card for the evening. So we want our fans to be part of the show. We want them to be important. We want them to relish that role, that they have a voice during the show as well, and they can let that voice be heard. We can all hear it clearly, even on the YouTube clips, but in person, it's undeniable.
Turn it down. Sometimes I have to turn it down. There's that naughty PPW Nation sometimes, Papa Smokes. I can't let that get by the YouTube censors. But Basser, damn it, I put myself in a bit of a position here. I knew Bass would come at me with this one. Basser saying, Bobby, do you have any comments on your evening out at BEW last Saturday, Easter Beatdown 2024 in Warman? Basser, I really enjoyed going out with you and your son that night. Enough said. No, I what can I say?
I want to hear about this too.
Oh man.
You went to the Outlaw Mud show again, you guys. How was it?
You know, they had an audience. they had an audience, Papa Smokes. They had to put out more chairs. They actually had around 200, if not just over 200 people at this show. So good job. Good job. I'm happy to see that. There's a dip in quality in comparison to what they do. Yes, as Bass are saying, Marcel made the trip out for it, as he often does. Yeah, Marcel's cheating on us over at BEW there, Pops, folks.
The fan all the way, baby. He wants his wrestling.
Yeah, and Brian saying, think about how many more spectators we have BW live stream. Brian, from the bottom of my heart, I bring it up at every show. It's not like I'm not trying, my friend, and it could be happening down the road. I got you in mind. I got you, brother. But BEW, let's just say it's a traveling wrestling program. So it's a lot harder to have consistency in stories or consistent workers or anything like we do, where we have a central location that we stick to. We stick to a plan. We can run our stories. So let's get that portion out of the way. Comparing apples to apples is a little difficult because they run their business different than Prairie Pro Wrestling. They're constantly on the road, town to town to town. They bring the talent that they can. Their talent is painfully aware that they will not work Saskatoon if BEW ever works Saskatoon, because we don't want our talent being in Saskatoon on another person's show too badly. It's just the way it is. But our talent works at BEW because BEW stays out of Saskatoon because they know that there's no point in competing in the Saskatoon market. So they stay to everywhere else in the province, and they do a great job at it. They do a very good job at traveling around Saskatchewan, doing many different towns, selling about. Tony Novak came back. He made his return back to professional wrestling at this show on Saturday. Great to see him. Levi Knight was there. We had Uncle Phil Deadly working there. We had referee Jason was there. So a lot of familiar faces that I really like to see. I really like to support. They've got some other people that come in that I think are talented, that are pretty decent workers and stuff. And then they've got some others. And you know what? I'm not going to, okay, on the ones that try and have been trained and stuff like that, I'm going to try my hardest not to say anything. But there's this one kid there. And good God, I want to know who trained him, who the fuck said he should be in a wrestling ring. Because this guy comes out not only with some sort of clown makeup on his face, but clown makeup on his stomach, looking like he had been dosed up with some sort of drug and told that he would never see his family again unless he stepped in the ring that night. No emotion on this kid's face. He gets into this ring that is elevated about 8 feet off the goddamn ground, looking completely out of place, wearing his gym shorts and just regular shoes. So I'm telling you, it doesn't even look the part to begin with. He gets in there, and oh my God, Pop Smokes, he takes a shoulder check from one of the other guys. He takes this shoulder check, and it's like he had to think about it for about 30 seconds as to what he does when somebody shoulder checks him, because he stood there and goes, and then he goes to bump, but he didn't bump. He just kind of flopped sideways onto his right shoulder. He just kind of just plopped over sideways into the ring. And I was like, you can't tell me this motherfucker is trained. There is no way somebody trained properly is going to do that. Not somebody who needs to be in a ring. This was pissing me off at this point. And then he kind of stayed out of the match for the most part, but there was another spot. And if you go check out Basser's Instagram, you can see the video where this kid and his tag partner throw their opponent into the ropes, and the spot's supposed to be where they're going to give the back body drop, but instead the other guy goes and takes their heads and smashes them together. Classic spot, right? So they throw them towards the ropes, and it seemed like the guy who had to come back to smash their heads had to stop and wait, because the kid was standing there with his arms down at his side just staring at him, and then he goes, oh, and then he just leans over as if like, what the fuck are you gonna do kind of situation. Like, what is that doing at all, period? And then finally the other guy gets to come in, smack the heads together, and damn it, Pop Smokes, that made me angry, because I don't want to see people get hurt. And when you send people who are not ready and not properly trained into a professional wrestling ring, that will happen. Though that particular guy is not ready to be in a professional wrestling ring, if I could have taken those bumps better than him. Like, man, I was pissed off. Very pissed off.
Yeah, I hear you. We're making light of this whole thing too, but there's a serious side to this too. Just like you said, untrained people in the ring. I was going to say talent. It's not talent. Untrained people in the ring lead to accidents and lead to injuries. And even worse than that, you make the business look like shit. All that anyone is in the crowd has to see is one bad wrestler whose moves are so unprofessional that it exposes the business completely. And not only going to destroy or damage your own business, but it damages the entire business as a whole because people that come there expecting to see a serious show say, "What the fuck is this? These guys are a clown show, and maybe this wrestling just isn't for me. That maybe this phony ass bullshit is nothing that I should even worry about anymore." And we don't need people thinking that. It's too bad. I'm not going to shit on these guys completely, but should tighten it up a little bit. You can't have these untrained goofs in the middle of the ring trying to do spots.
And that's the only negative I'm going to say. Like, even though I don't love everything that goes on those particular shows, that's the part that pissed me off. That was the real part that set me off. Just don't send unprepared wrestlers into a ring that could seriously injure another human being. It's not worth it. But you know what, Pops, folks? Out with the ugly and in with the beautiful, as we got a friend that just ran backstage, and here he is on screen right now. Andre, see you.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Gentlemen, I just came in
Hey,
to
Andre.
listen to you guys because I love hearing Papa Smoke's sultry ass voice. So
That's fantastic. I saw you there. I figured why not? We'll bring you on in for a little conversation. I know you got quite a long list of product that you're going to be a part of this weekend, including tonight. You're joining the Honor Ramble tonight.
Yeah, I think we all have a lot we're doing this weekend, so it's going to be a the whole network, a big old weekend of wrestling.
Oh, it's going to be wild. Yes, as Astrid said, is going to be on the Honor Ramble coming up. You've also got Japanese Wrestling Update tomorrow afternoon. You got the TJPW live in Philly Saturday morning. I believe you're on the WrestleMania Night 1 preview show.
Yeah,
and then. Yeah, man, you got stuff all over the place, Andre. Tell us a little bit about it.
Like tonight on a Rambles, the ROH lead up show that set up a couple more matches for the ROH Supercard Honor show. So looking forward to talking with Collins about that. So it's gonna be fun. Tomorrow, Japanese Wrestling Update. Me and Mel watch the Stardom show live together this afternoon. I went to her place. We watched the pay-per-view, and it was a great time. It was actually only 5 matches, ran about an hour and 45 minutes. And honestly, it was perfect. That's all I needed. Like, just a good, I get to watch Stardom in the middle of the day live. It was great.
Yeah, you guys, you must be used to watching these at ridiculous times, like early morning kind of situations and stuff like that. So having the afternoon stuff is probably a real treat.
Yeah, it was great. And then I watched On a Ramble after done On a Ramble, I watched some Defy that was the super early morning show today was a Defy show. So
that's right. Yeah, they have one going on, and there was Bloodsport we were talking about earlier this afternoon. I still have to watch and everything, but probably check that out later tonight. And just so much cool stuff going on this weekend in general with everybody abuzz. Wrestling is a happy time this weekend, we can say.
It really is. Like, and again, like I'm gonna watching Mania on the weekend. Watching Spark. I want to watch Spark Joshi on Sunday afternoon before I go watch Mania at Mel's place. And then also on Saturday morning there is a New Japan card in Japan super early in the morning. So there's that. I'm gonna have to watch. Probably won't watch it till Monday to get a show done for like Monday night or Tuesday. Just because there's so much wrestling this weekend, man. It's crazy. And then there's still more New Japan next weekend in Chicago. So
you're a very busy man. I don't know how you find the time sometimes.
I just figure it out.
For sure. Yep.
All right. I love the Japanese wrestling show that you and Mel Ball have going right now.
Thank you, sir.
It's always been a thing in my mind that I need to watch more old Japanese wrestling, but I also don't know what's going on with current stuff. So I watch your guys' show, and with some analysis and a little bit of explanation, it's easing me into the scene a little bit. I need to learn more of the names and more of the faces, but I'm getting into it. I love the show.
Well, just the show I'm watching with Bobby and Mel Saturday. We don't cover Tokyo Joshi Pro, so like I know a few of the names on the card because some are freelancers that have worked in Stardom and in other places before, and in North America and stuff like that. So I'm familiar with it, but a lot of them I don't know. But I'm looking forward to learning, expanding my knowledge into Tokyo Joshi Pro and everything. So.
And some of the ones are on there we've seen in MLW as of late as well too. So those are the names I was familiar with from the card. I mean, how can we go wrong? We got Maki Ito on a card on TJP.
Yeah, I know.
So there we
I
go.
know that one. Yeah.
And ROH's Billy Starks is on that show too. So
yeah, Mayu Yamashita's over there on that one as well too.
Yeah.
So should be some good stuff that we're going to get to see. I know it airs tomorrow night, but we're going to be watching that Saturday.
No, it actually airs tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. That's what it is. It is the Friday early show.
Yeah, and I'd be on board, but I stupidly forgot to take the day off work, so we're gonna have to do it Saturday to accommodate my schedule this time.
Dude, Collins is getting married tomorrow, and she's still doing the show tonight. I don't understand. We could have got two people to come to guest host that show if she wanted to take a night off. Jeez.
Yeah. Auntie Collins is a real trooper, and they are getting married this weekend. So happy wedding weekend there, Auntie Collins. Congratulations.
Well, that's a busy WrestleMania weekend right there.
Yeah.
Oh heck yeah.
Nothing like walking down the aisle while you're watching the big screen. It's WrestleMania playing in the background.
Oh, well, I literally just saw a video of a groom coming into his wedding doing the bloodline entrance with he was Roman, then he had he had a guy carrying the title like Heyman, then he had this other groomsmen behind him, like the rest of the bloodline. It was actually pretty sick.
Yeah, I saw that video as well too. It was funny.
I've seen a similar thing too. Bobby, Miles from Off the Top Rope, the musician from town here. When he got married, he came out to Stone Cold, the Breaking Glass and all that. And
nice.
Came out with the full regalia and the full entrance and cut a promo on his fiance and everything else. Just a wrestling fan until death for sure.
Papa Smokes, that wouldn't happen to be the famous masked warrior El Masasino that we're speaking about, would it?
The very same.
As I like to refer to him, El Asshat. From LPW.
Oh yeah, you've only just kind of getting introduced to Mr. El Assassino over there at LPW. He's running amok over there on Love Wrestling's roster as of late.
I love the guy. I just love calling him El Asshat. But
you know what? That's probably the nicest thing he's been called. You come to a Saskatoon show and you're going to hear things you didn't know we're going to get said. Oh my!
I'm glad you guys hate him just as much. I really do.
Oh, trust me, he is the most hated individual that walks through onto PPW. As soon as he walks through, that PPW crowd lights up in a very negative way. You will not hear another word said other than absolute hatred towards El Assassino from start to finish. And some of the stuff, I'm telling you, in production, I have to turn the audience down many times because we will get banned from YouTube with some of the shit that gets said towards El Assassino.
Wow.
They hate his guts for real. And him and I chat sometimes. We throw little ideas and suggestions around here and there. And this was probably last year sometime, but we were talking about something and I said, if you want to get some more heat, there's this one thing you could do. We started talking about it and then I just abandoned the thought halfway through. You don't need any more heat, man. You're going to get killed. You're going to get stabbed in the crowd. Never mind, man. Don't do this.
Yeah, and he brings that Mexico hatred to Canada.
Oh,
like the hatred that you like. There's guys that have been stabbed in Mexico. Like he brings that style of hatred to Canada, and I love it.
Oh, Brian saying hate. I say he's most loved, man. I seen, and this would have been HIW times. When El Assassino was walking back after one of his matches, or it was after an in-ring segment, he was walking towards the back, and there's that old gentleman that came to watch the shows all the time, Papa Smoke, who had a cane. and he stuck the cane right
And a
in
bottle of water.
face, and the bottle of water.
Yeah.
And El Asesino turned around, grabbed the cane, and said, "One more time, old man, I'm going to shove this thing straight up your rear end," or whatever. And the old man turns around and smashes the cane as hard as he can about 3 times into the side of El Asesino's face. El Asesino grabs the cane, throws it down, gets right in the guy's face, and had to be pulled away and into the back. Like, I'm not kidding you. That is the level he'll go to. I've got a good buddy that comes to PPW Live, decided he'd lip El Asesino off in the front row. Not only did he get shoved into his seat about 3 times, El Asesino turned around, spit on his brand new shoes afterwards.
The guy used to work here, William Saint. I beat them at one show years ago, and again, he's not the biggest gentleman in the world, right? And he just gets up to me, looks up to me, and just shoves me back into my seat. I'm like, okay, I'm not fucking with them. But I'm like, okay, he's got bite. I don't want to fuck too much more.
For sure. To all fans and live shows out there, you're a smart Mark. You're a smart. You think you know what's going on. You know the whole scene with everything. Do not puff up to a heel. Just don't do it. It's not a good idea. They can't walk by you once you do that. Like, if it's a heel with any kind of integrity or any kind of commitment to his heelish nature, he can't walk by you. You're a fan, and you if you get in his face, he has to respond. You've probably seen some of the clips of fans that have tried to do that, puff their chest up to Jacob Fatu and stuff like that. It doesn't go well, man. Don't do that to any heel at any level unless you're ready to take possibly some physical action along with it, because you're showing them up at their show. You're not part of the show. Don't do it. The heel will get you.
I was just standing like a bunch of other people, just booing him as he was coming out, and I decided, again, the chant we all had was "Little Willie" at him. That's what everybody. So as he's going in front of me, like, "You suck, Little Willie," and he just turns, looks at me, and just. Again, I was friends with wrestlers at that point. Like, I hadn't started working in wrestling yet, but he knew I was friends with certain people. So I think that's part of the reason why he was like, "Oh, I'm going to shove this guy. I'll shove
better.
him."
Yeah.
Because again, I hadn't started working for RCW at the time, but I know I'm friendly with people. So he figured, okay, he's probably not going to try to sue me after this, which I wouldn't, because I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, I fear being at ringside as it is, because like I talked a lot of shit when I started in commentary, especially about El Asesino. I ran my mouth one too many times. I was this close to having my ass handed to me inside that ring. I had Dice Steel holding my arms behind my back, and I had that evil look of El Asesino looking me in the eyes as he was about to come in and beat the living piss out of me. Had it not been for Bucky McGraw and Jeff Tyler at the time coming to my rescue just in time. Damn it, man. I
hate
to this
Jeff
day,
Tyler.
I fear that El Asesino still remembers and still has a plan in mind.
I have a poster somewhere in my house that says it just has a picture of Jeff Tyler and just says, "I hate Jeff Tyler," from when he was working for PWA back in the day. I couldn't stand that little shit.
What?
Oh, I hated him.
How could you hate Jeff Tyler?
him. Oh, I hated him so much.
He was beloved here in Saskatoon, and
He was the Bob Backlund of prairie wrestling.
Yeah,
That's why,
and
why I hated him.
He did really well. Him and Asesino had some good, solid wrestling matches.
Yeah.
Here, like really solid wrestling matches.
Yeah.
But you know,
pro
boys,
wrestling.
I'm looking over at that time, and I don't want to take up the whole night here. You know, we got some honor ramble going on. I know Andre's got to go get prepared, get ready with Auntie Collins to run
15
amok
minutes.
over on the ramble side of things. But yeah, I think it's about that time in the show where we can start to think about wrap it up. Seeing as he's on screen with us, Andre, why don't you tell the wonderful folks where they can find you, what you got going on?
Twitter at That Canada Guy, Instagram, Threads, in something, TikTok at That Canada Dude. You can find me on our YouTube page, youtube.com/@Andre Melville Wrestling Talk, where we have our NGBW Poodle Wrestler review, where we review all the New Japan stuff, Stardom review. where we have all the Stardom reviews there. We have Chop Talk. We do the local independent wrestling scene, and hopefully someday a PPW show. That's hope maybe in 2024. We don't know. But yeah, and then you can find me every Friday. Yeah, Japanese Wrestling Update. You can find me throughout this weekend, doing a lot of shows. And then actually April 10th, me and Mike are back with the Marvel Talk. And it's not it's not MCU Rebound. It's a full-on new production show. We're talking the first 5 episodes of X-Men 97.
God damn, that show is so good. It really is. I'm loving it. Loving it.
Me too.
But you know, now we come to the part in the show where the production values go up, the cost goes up. It's even more higher production values than X-Men 97 itself. It's the Papa Smokes ticker. Papa Smokes, tell them where they can find you.
Oh, how hard I had to negotiate to get such a snazzy looking ticker. I just love it every week. So anyway, I can be found in Elon Musk's free speech wonderland, also known as X. I am at Smokes_Papa. I'm also on Twitch at Papa_Smokes_.
Perfect. And now back to one of those less expensive tickers. That's my ticker. I am Bobby Bunsen over the X Real Bobby Bunsen, Instagram and Threads, Video Bros SK, and on the Twitch at _Bobby Bunsen. You're going to be able to find me this weekend. Point of View is actually going to be our WrestleMania Night 2 preview show. I'm going to be also on the post show that day. So I'm going to be joined on the preview show by Ed Mark from Mark Talks Wrestling, as well as Tom Collahue from Spoiler Warning, going to be joined in there. And on the post show, the guest lineup, it's going to be myself, Ed, Mark, and Stephanie Hardy that's going to be joining us. So we got a brand new voice joining us over there as well, too. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to hanging out with all of you. Enjoy professional wrestling this weekend. No matter what your niche is, go and find something you love. Talk about it, review it, and enjoy it with friends. Enjoy it with beer. It always tastes better. And that is going to be it for us on Ring Respect Radio. Until next Thursday, take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.